Well, for people who have skied all their life, skiing is one of those sports that you never need stop. And people ski into their 50s, 60s and 70s, really in a very accomplished way. And even when I was much younger, and I used to be on the slopes, you know, as kind of a junior skier, I used to be amazed at seeing really quite old folk, or old as I thought at the time, their 60s and 70s, weaving their way down the slope with apparent ease. I think it's harder for somebody who's going to be skiing for the first time as a mature skier. Obviously, you're going to be a little bit more nervous about whether you're going to injure yourself, but I would say don't be put off. Because once you've experienced that incredible sensation of skiing and the freedom it brings, being out on a mountain resort on a beautiful day in the middle of the winter with the sun shining and the sky so blue, it is fantastic. But there are gentler ways, in fact, in which to introduce skiing to an older person. There are things like cross-country skiing, which is lovely, very relaxing, and just think of it like going for a forest walk, but with a pair of skis on your feet as opposed to walking boots. So that might be a good way to start skiing. For people who've skied a little bit already, whether they're kind of intermediate or advanced skiers, I would say just don't stop. You know, keep going out there and doing it. There are very good programs. People like the Ski Club of Great Britain actually have a program for older skiers where it's just groups of like-minded people. You know, and you can still carry on doing things like off-piste and ski mountaineering. There are many different things available. And the idea that you don't want to be hurtling down a slope being overtaken by 10-year-olds, it's just not, it doesn't have to be that way. And I know it can be very disconcerting because I've been overtaken by my children skiing and I absolutely hate it. But now I've found different ways to enjoy the slopes in terms of cross-country and ski mountaineering and just enjoying being outside in the mountain air. It's wonderful. There are many destinations that are associated with the nightlife and the partying, the après-ski and the kind of full-on ski experience, you know, places like Verbier, Val d'Isère, perhaps St Anton. Now, I personally would sort of tend to avoid them now because it is quite rowdy and go for some of the lower, gentler resorts. I mean, I love Austria. I didn't used to love Austria, but I really, you know, I've fallen in love with it now because the resorts have short transfer times from the airport, which I think is very important. The accommodation is of extremely high standard. The food is very good. There's easy access to the slopes. And the skiing is kind of, it's just challenging enough with nice wide red and blue runs, which are very flattering for the older skier. You know, you don't have to have too much in the way of, you know, knee-crunching bumps and, you know, very steep descents. You can just cruise all day, have a great time, eat well, and have a nice early night to be ready for the next morning.